Welcome back to Inside South Florida. You know, it's a seller's market, which means most people are getting multiple offers. And should you take the first one, or is it worth it to wait it out? WSFL Trusted Advisors, Patty Da Silva and Chris Green at Luxury Homes by Patty Da Silva at Green Realty Properties spoke with us about which is the best course of action to take. Have a look. Patty, Chris, you both are the experts. And, you know, this is such an interesting thing, buying and selling a home, right? Oftentimes, a seller gets a great offer but turns it down because they want to wait and see if something better comes along, but maybe that is the best offer, right?
That is true, yes. Sometimes the seller misses the opportunity of the best offer, which was the first offer, because sometimes the buyer has been in the marketplace for a long time. So the buyer has already lost a couple of properties, maybe more than that. So when they see a home they really like, they put the best offer they can. But now the seller is new to the market. They just assume that if I got this great offer up front, for sure there's a better offer coming behind. And that's not always the truth.
Right.
Sometimes, you know, if the first offer is not good, the seller shouldn't accept it. But sometimes the first offer is really incredible and the seller still may be hesitant. And then sometimes, you know, after a couple of days, they say, hey, what happened to that offer? Are they still around? I will reach out to the agent for the buyer. And they say, no, of course not. My buyer moved on. Yeah, right. And then the seller feels like, you know, lack of buyer's remorse. They should have gone with the offer.
You always say trust the one you picked. Trust your guide in this, right? You pick the realtor that you're the listing broker.
Sure.
So listen to your listing broker. So when she's like Patty sees an offer that comes in that's stellar, and that meets all of the offer guideline that we put together. I mean, everything that you need to buy a home. If that buyer is really qualified and very transparent and it's great, that's, you know, the seller should say, what do you think? And if Patty says it's awesome, this is a great deal, then really consider, you know, take your time, but consider it.
With that said, Chris, when is a situation when a seller should take the first offer versus them saying, hold on, let this marinate a little bit?
That's a great question. I think depends on the offer.
Okay.
If the seller, you know, we can vet the buyer and say, you know, this buyer, the financials are not strong. They might have another home to sell that is not yet on the market. So many scenarios that can be in place. But I think that really depends on each offer. There really isn't a rule, but the seller should never rule out accepting the first offer. As a rule, you need to evaluate the offer and see if that's a good offer or not. I just sold a home in Plantation. We accepted the first offer, $50,000 above ask, smooth closing, perfect deal. The seller didn't need to wait for anymore.
It's funny, it's like the two sides of a coin. You can walk into a property, you're just gonna start looking, and you walk in, the first one you see, you said, I'm in love, this is the one. Right. And then you may have your partner say, hey, how could you say that? We need to see 10 more. And then the agent says, well, this isn't gonna last. We have two other people making offers, so you need to say, hey, sometimes it is love at first sight, and sometimes it works for the seller, and it takes that listing agent to tell them, hey, this may be that scenario where this is the right one. I know it seems fast, but I'm telling you, these people are ready.
And it's a feeling, and you said evaluate, so that evaluation process, because what do you do when a seller has multiple offers, like 10, 20, sometimes?
Smile. You say, yes, hallelujah.
The real estate gods are smiling upon us, but you know, and this, especially in a market that's hot, volcanic hot like Miami and South Florida, multiple offers can come in day after day. What do you do then?
Well, what do you do with the 20 offers that we received recently? What do you do?
22 to be exact.
22.
It's not uncommon for office to receive double-digit offers in one listing. So I put it all together in a spreadsheet, easy to view for the seller so they understand all the pieces to the offer. I think we have like 20 tabs of every single item that goes into an offer. Price, deposit, closing date, inspection period, credit score, the proof of funds, pre-approval, everything in place. So the seller can, you know, really check on every single detail of the offer. But, you know, it happens too. Even with 22 offers, only 6 end up being completed even after us reaching out to the agent for the buyer several times to put the offer together. So
maybe there's little cold feet in some of those offers.
Right.
So then the ones that rise to the top, you got to hit it at a certain time because there's a deadline on accepting those offers. So we were like, come on, let's go. We don't want to push because it's the seller's decision, but we guide them. You should trust us.
I think what Chris is trying to say is the buyer will back out if the buyer believes the seller's playing games.
Right.
So speed is important. The seller has to have a little time to review the offers, but they just can't sit on it. A good buyer who is very serious, who put a very strong offer up front, might just say, I'm not interested to playing games, I'm going to leave and go somewhere else.
If I'm giving you the best and you're backing off from me from this and not accepting this, what games are going to be played later during the course of it?
And I mean, just what it really leans on what I think you both are saying in the running theme is trusting the expert you have chosen to do the transaction with will yield the best results. Chris, is there a rule of thumb for a seller? Like just one rule of thumb that you would tell a seller that's trying to sell a home of what to do when they want to be successful in selling the home?
A rule of thumb? I mean, I think that they need to really listen to the listing broker. Whoever that is, listen to them and follow their advice. They're the one, they're the expert. So like when Patty talks to a seller, says this is what's going to happen. This is what I predict. Being in your home, I can feel it. I'm an expert at this. And the buyer the seller needs to say, hey, I got this. I'm going to follow your advice. I mean, we go through that all the time and say, listen, you hired us. We got the listing, so now listen.